How did Superman become Superman? Just like with Batman, it's basically illegal to mention Superman without invoking his origin story, so how many more times are they still going to do it? Forever, apparently, because important questions remain unanswered to this day. Like, did he win the lottery? Was he scalping PlayStation 2s? Did he work at a door factory? And why are people afraid of what they don't understand? Find out with me in this modern-day retelling that's already somewhat outdated. This is the story of Superman Birthright by Mark Waid. Even Captain America could recite Superman's origin story, and that fool is from the wrong universe, so for that reason, I'm skipping half of the first issue. Music, dance, experiences, colors, and styles are passed on for generations to preserve a culture. This is the essence of what Kobe Asuru and his followers are fighting for, because the Guri culture is being systematically erased by the Turaba who they've long been subservient to. Without warning, Kobe misses a QuickTime event, but fortunately, a freelance reporter by the name of Clark Kent came pre-installed with a bulletproof vest. Ignoring the increasing attempts on his life by the Turaba, Kobe will continue to rally until the Guri have representation in Parliament. Utilizing the timeless cinematic storytelling device known as emails, Clark writes to his mother that he's had to reveal his true colors on several occasions. Each time, people were absolutely petrified by what they saw because people are afraid of what they don't understand. Nevertheless, when Turaba soldiers RSVP for Asuru's next rally, the reporter takes matters into his own hands. Despite stopping most of the perpetrators, however, his empty-headed peanut brain forgets about poor little Kobe who ends up getting cancelled. Ultimately, Kobe's sister replaces the evil Turaba guy from Parliament who was ousted for the attacks. Furthermore, Clark returns to Kansas with a new sense of purpose, as he searches for a pair of bright red trunks that'll fit over his trousers. In contrast to Martha, who's eager to bust out the sewing machine, Jonathan unleashes his frustration onto the Rocket. He goes on this whole rant about how he failed as a father, all because his grown-ass son wants to run around with a cape on his back. But in which way is Clark Kent unlike his father? A man who also ventured away from home to discover his purpose in the world. Clark basically talks him back into it like a CW show, and they finished the costume as a family. To really sell the effect, he requires the shrimp posture of a gamer, sound a tinge like a squeaker, dress modestly to conceal a six-pack, and glasses to desaturate those unearthly blue eyes. Mr. Kent navigates a frantic Metropolis to interview at an equally chaotic Daily Planet. One good look at the mesmerizing Lois Lane, and all his concerns regarding a toxic work environment are replaced by intrusive thoughts. Perry has the fastest, most reliable news empire in the world because he has the best people. And Mr. Kent delusionally believes he's one of those people, despite presenting himself as clumsy, fearful, and timid. Suddenly, the military catches a case of Skynet and lights up the glass. Lois and Jimmy are already pursuing the story, and when they experience heavy turbulence, Superman makes his first appearance. Off in the distance, Lex Luthor is just standing there, menacingly. Superman dismantles the rogue helicopters with ease, and the invisible jamming signal which only he can see betrays Luthor. And that is why you should use a virtual private network. Like a disappointed father, Superman's all like, "So, this is what you've come to?" That's when the Daily Planet barges into the room questioning LexCorp's involvement in today's attack. But all they get is a media-trained answer stating that regardless of today's events, Metropolis is lucky to have a hall monitor. Right when Lois files the story of the century on Superman, Perry assigns her a partner? Despite all odds, Mr. Kent qualified for the job when he pulled an expose out of his ass connecting Luthor to the helicopter sabotage. Speaking of Lex, he'd like a word with the main character. A school shooting reminds us that we're on American soil in case you had any doubt. Unlike in real life, the Man of Steel delivers justice in less time than it took for me to say that sentence. Long time no see, Lex, but his friendly attitude is dismissed by the cue ball saying they've never met before. The final boss's fascination with extraterrestrial life is reflected in his projects taking inspiration from the life forms on Mercury, Neptune, and beyond. He's also been doing homework on Superman and concludes his unique physiology can only be achieved on a planet orbiting a red sun. In simpler terms, Superman is an alien. Furthering that point, even when Big Blue constipates himself to stop a speeding train, bystanders are hesitant to lend a hand because people are afraid of what they don't understand. Mr. Kent's phoning it in acting has landed him a nomination at the Razzies for Worst Lead Actor. Whenever he's not sabotaging his civilian life, he's being mistaken for a terrorist. The Boy Scout discovers he has a severe allergic reaction to a green rock, harkening back to 15 years ago when he sent Lex Luthor a friend request. To understand how smart Lex already was, imagine we're all a bunch of empty-headed peanut brains in the 1800s protesting a Hungarian doctor who suggested the blasphemy of hand-washing could prevent the spread of disease. Lex never fit in, and ironically, he wouldn't expect Clark to understand the feeling of alienation. At any rate, the LexCorp CEO activates a wormhole and stares into the abyss. Lex Luthor's immense intellect was often met by faces of fear and unease because people are afraid of what they don't understand. Take for example how he deduced their teacher had performed unchristian activities with the gym coach, or when Smallville lost to the peacock of streaming services because he sold out his team. On occasion, Clark was present to nudge him in the right direction, and that's how Smallville went undefeated for the rest of the season. Until Lex decided to open a wormhole into the past of another galaxy. Clark immediately felt sick and weak from the kryptonite powering his machine, to which Lex mistakenly assumed he was just like the others and tossed him out. The wormhole sustained itself momentarily until it gave out to a deafening explosion, resulting in the Batman starter pack of Lex becoming an orphan. In the present day, Earth is under attack. Lois is way too smart for the final boss's propaganda, which insinuates her love interest is a Silver Surfer for a fleet of alien warships. Additionally, Martha takes to a series of long and boring emails to assure her son that she loves him dearly and that he is not secretly some alien scout. This is the part where the evil CEO mansplains a Superman origin story, but as I alluded to in the beginning, and because I'm a nice Canadian, I'll spare you the trouble. Luthor invented a hoax to decimate the credibility of his nemesis because there's only room for one narcissist on this planet, and his name is Donald Trump. Lex Luthor. Just like that, the faux Kryptonian invasion commences. Metropolitans are too busy spreading fake news to question how a full-scale invasion crept up from nowhere like an unskippable YouTube ad and targeted only their city. But not Lois and Jimmy. From what they can discern, the so-called enemy appears to be fighting for us. However, the Man of Tomorrow is becoming weaker by the minute because Luthor somehow found a way to broadcast kryptonite radiation over the city by fighting away. Topping things off, Kryptonian Commander Vanguard imposes a new government onto Metropolis. The Kryptonians are better, faster, and stronger, meaning resistance is futile. Somewhere during all that, the Kents pleaded for their son to return home. It's far too dangerous and he's done all that he could. Like hell, he says. Smallville reveals to Lois how it's all a hoax, comprised of paid actors, holograms, and AI-generated images, and how it's all enabled by the only thing that can make him weak besides his intrusive thoughts for her, kryptonite. Nonetheless, if she's brave enough to venture above the 4th floor of an evil business building as a woman, she could save Metropolis. In the meantime, the last son of Krypton returns to his post as a meat shield. For lack of a better word, when a glorified lawnmower pulls up, he poses for this amazing photo captured by Jimmy, which immediately goes viral. Superman is fighting for us. Finally, people are not afraid of what they don't understand. And that's when Lois pulls the plug on the cue ball's deception. The invasion is over now that Superman's handicap permit has been revoked, and he extends the same courtesy to the final boss as well, just more spirited. The last son of Krypton finally gets to meet his parents Lara and Jor-El and finds out his name is Kal-El right before the wormhole collapses, sans a deafening explosion this time. In the end, Clark summons the courage to ask out Lois. Although she doesn't say no, she's more focused on how the symbol has come to represent courage, hope, and all of her intrusive thoughts personified in Superman. That was the story of Superman Birthright by Mark Waid. Make of this what you will, I'm just a messenger.